of rainfall in a short window of time, in some spots locally more. The severe weather threat looks to diminish after 10 o'clock with lingering downpours and showers into the start of the day tomorrow.
This report is sponsored by Mattress Firm. Shop Mattress Firm's July 4th sale and reclaim your restless nights. Choose from a curated premium selection of mattresses to find just the upgrade you're looking for. Get matched, sleep at night.
Remember when you had a guy, someone who could fix anything? They're still out there, Batteries Plus. With their quick solutions and expert advice on batteries, key fobs, and phone repair, Batteries Plus will have you in and out and on your way in no time. Batteries Plus, the experts in charge.
Portions of the following program were pre-recorded.
Number 1 on your car radio preset and the new and improved iHeartRadio app. WDAS and WD273D Philadelphia is Fox Sports Radio, The Gambler. Now, your chance to win $1,000. Just enter this nationwide keyword on our website. Green. That's green. Enter it now.
FoxPHLGambler.com. Once again, FoxPHLGambler.com right now.
Breaking ball blasted down the left field line towards the pole, and this one is gone. First ball swinging, and Nick Castellanos lines one down the line and right. It's his 10th home run of the season, and the Phillies now lead it 4-0. The 1-0 to Cronenworth, and he swings and hits one in the air to right center field. Calling for it is Marsh. He's got it, and the ball game is over. 8 shutout innings as Wheeler gets his 8th win of the season, and the Phillies win it 4-0.
Oh, yes, that is how you get the party started here on a hot Tuesday in the Delaware Valley. Good afternoon. Chabray, Sam Oshtry from The Score joining us right from the jump here. Of course, as you heard, firework night last night, and there were plenty of them during the game. 4-0 victory by the Titans. Oh, I can't wait. I love 4th of July, man. I do. Love it. Great holiday. Sam Oshtry live from a shore near you. Sam, how you feeling today, man? You been able to watch a little bit of the news?
Yeah, just a little bit. Down here in Margate, you know where I like to spend my summers, but haven't been outside much last couple of days because it's free agency. So I got to get outside more at the end of the week. But it's great to be here. 4th of July is the best holiday. It's the best holiday in the game.
We got the roulette wheel spinning right here. We're going to select a team to discuss because, yeah, the NBA free agency is off and running. So right now we got roster roulette happening. And this is the time of the year where everybody starts to look at this team. Oh, I like that. That's a contender. Ooh, that player. Oh, that player. You know, we're making a big deal out of Dennis Schrader, right? Like what basically Mark Henry Jr. was saying. It's like, all right, relax, everybody here. But it's a fun time, so I'm not here to poo-poo that unless we're talking about the 76ers, which we will. We will talk about the 76ers here. But we got a lot to discuss. Sam's going to hang out for the first hour. I'm wearing my USA kit. We do have a lot going on in the world of soccer. So Larry Henry Jr., will get us caught up coming up in the second hour, and looking forward to catching up with Larry. Haven't had an opportunity to talk to him in quite some time. So Philadelphia Union, kick a button, taking names. Of course, the World Cup next year. We got the Club World Cup that's happening right now. So much going on in the world of soccer. Gold Cup, all the cups galore. All right, Sam Oshtry. But we'll save all that for later. We open up, though, real quick, if we could, about the Philadelphia Phillies. Big game coming up again this evening, but this pitching staff, Sam, has been unbelievable. Last night, Zach Wheeler struck out 10 in 8 scoreless innings, 4-0 victory, and now you hand the reins over to Christopher Sanchez, who, oh, by the way, and I hate to just skip off of Zach Wheeler, like, you know, it's on to the next one because there are plenty to discuss about him, including the month of June that he just had with a 0.58 ERA and 5 starts in the month of June. Christopher Sanchez right neck and neck with him as well. Sanchez had a 1.85 ERA in 5 starts this month. Most recent outing against the Astros, 1 run over 6+ innings, struck out 11 batters. So we know what Ranger gets you automatically to the 7th inning. Wheeler, just that prototypical number one, that ace, that one, the guy that you give all the coin to, because you know if you're going through some turmoil, that's a guy that will put an end to that losing streak. Luckily for the Phillies, they've only had to deal with one of those, but Wheeler has been an ace. And man, this is his 6th season in a Phillies uniform. It's unbelievable how fast that time has flown by with him rocking the Phil's cap. But what a dominant outing last night against the Padres team that was definitely ripe for the picking. They rolled out that knuckleball pitcher. He was kind of wild in his first start last night this season, Matt Waldron. Bottom line is that was a game that the Phillies needed to have, and they did exactly that. Castellanos goes yard. Nice work there. We fire up DraftKings Sportsbook. Quick look at tonight's numbers. Nick Pivetta, come on down. And as I said, Sanchez on the mound for the Phillies, minus 167. Low total of 8. Showers in the area. Of course, it's hot, it's humid, it's sticky out there, muggy. So anything is possible at this point in time. But I do believe that they will get this game in. And there's no reason to believe that Nick Pivetta all of a sudden is going to look, although he has pitched all right, don't get me wrong, this season. I still like the Phillies this evening. Low total should concern you a little bit. They're not expecting a lot of firepower in this game, specifically, obviously, from the Padres side with how well Sanchez has pitched. It's been awesome. But I would still back the Phillies to get a victory, 3-2, 3-1 final score. But that's, it's June base, or it's July 1, excuse me. I don't know why I keep on saying it's this month. It's July 1. We're in the middle of it, man. So any way you can get a victory, that's what it's all about. Not sure if you caught last night's game, Sam, down at the Shore, but man, Wheeler has just been incredible to watch.
He's been awesome, and really his entire tenure as a Philly has been awesome, and he was certainly dealing last night. But the calendar turns to July, and this is when you want to see the Phillies start playing their best baseball. And we saw last year around the All-Star break and after the All-Star break is when things went south. There's been some up and downs, obviously, coming off that series against the Astros where there was 24 straight innings where they didn't score, going back to that Mets series too. 24 straight innings where they didn't score a single run. Of course, that they beat the Braves last series, nice 2 out of 3 over them. And then the Padres are another playoff team. So this is a team, obviously, they didn't put out a great pitcher last night from what I could tell, but this is a playoff team. And you want to get these series wins. You want to start playing your best baseball when July and after the All-Star break comes around in a couple weeks here. So it's good to see them playing well. And Wheeler was awesome as usual last night.
Yeah, it was a pretty entertaining game from, like I said, I never had an issue or never did think one time that the Phillies were going to lose that game. And it was unfortunate that they have a 6'3" center fielder and an absolute stud in Jackson Merrill out there who made one of the more ridiculous catches. Like, I know athleticism continues to get better and better in every sport. These kids get younger and they start playing, more organized ball and getting better coaching over the years. But we are making some of these ridiculous, just absurd catches in the outfield. And I say they are making it look way too easy. Way too easy. He timed that ball perfect. And if Kepler hits that, that's a 3-run shot. That's 4-0 at that inning. I think it was like the 4th, 5th inning, whatever it was. And they ended up throwing 3 more. So it could have been a 7-0 victory, which you wouldn't have sweat at all. Instead 4-0, you do the math on that. But just what an unbelievable play. You had the kid out there in center field with the A's who's done it time and time again all season long. And then Jackson Merrill, who did it with his bat all season last year. He's hitting 289 right now. Expectations through the roof. You understand, but that's a stud out there. He turned, didn't fear the fence, timed it perfect, and just skied to the heights that I mean, he was up there in the alley up top, man. It was absurd how easy he made that catch look. So I want to give a hat tip to Jackson Merrill on that one. But again, great night, a lot of fun to tune in and watch Wheeler mow him down as he did. Harper, I want to talk about Bryce Harper if we could, because Harper had some comments before the game, and almost to the point, Sam, I want to know what your take is on this. But hey, man, like it's not getting better. It's not getting worse. Of course, he's talking about the wrist injury, but it's time to come back. And I appreciate that. He's a workhorse. He's an animal, and he is the backbone of the operation. You want to have Bryce Harper in this lineup. But am I alone in possibly being a little bit worried that this could be something that potentially pops up the stretch of this season and then obviously puts him back on the DL? I know like nobody's hoping for that, and we don't need to be talking about that. But when his comments, when he spoke to the media before the game yesterday, that was my big takeaway. Like, man, it did not heal. And he's telling you straight up that, yeah, this could possibly go the other way, and we could be all over again where I'm going to miss he missed 22 games, I want to say 22 or 24 games, something along those lines. They were 12 and 10, so 22, excuse me. It's just a little concerning. It was great to see him in the lineup last night, but I'm wondering what your takeaway was, the comments from him yesterday.
We've seen this throughout Bryce Harper's Phillies tenure, where he is willing to play through injuries. And you have to admire that, because that's the kind of competitor and that's the kind of warrior he is. And that's why he's such a beloved Philly, and the captain and the leader of this group. But it is a little worrisome where he's like, it's not really getting any better at this point.
Hang on, pause. We're having some technical difficulties there with the connection. I don't know. Sam, I don't know if you can hear me, but I don't even think it's you, actually, because I'm looking at my TV now. And in the studio, it's shot right now. We're flickering here. This is the beauty about doing a studio show, a studio stream show, and a radio show at the same time. But what are you going to do? We'll try and get Sam back up on, of course, just focusing. And you know what? Shout out Colby Marshall checking in. Someone tell us we can't wait to see him at the end of the month. You're damn right. Chicago. We're coming, baby. We're going to the National. Now, it's a quick business trip. It's going to be a Friday, Saturday, home Sunday deal, Colby, but I'm ready to rock, sir. I am ready to go. And I'm hoping that one day I will be able to make Wrigley Field. They are home all weekend against the Baltimore Orioles. I hope one of those games we will be able to make it, but we'll see what happens there. Shout out Colby checking in. Always great to see you, sir. Stay hot, as they say. We'll try this again. Sam, do you want to say hello again?
What's going on? I got you. You were lagging a little bit, but I got you.
No. We might have to have you call in. I'll tell you what. Can you call in at 3:20? If you can hear me. 3:20. All right, boom. He can hear me. Nice. All right, we do it live. What are you going to do? I would assume it's pouring outside right now. That's just one man's take. I would assume it is pouring. All right, so we will talk NBA with Sam coming up here at 3:20. And there is a lot to get into. Of course, NBA free agency off and running, and it's absurd how many players are making new moves and heading to new locations, trades, signings, and then some crazy contracts. I guess the big point, while I have you right here right now, before we get Sam up a little bit later, we can get into detail, and we're going to play a fun game with Sam. And, I'm looking at the 76ers, and I did not expect them to be uber, over the top, trying to get new players in here. I didn't expect them to be a player in the Giannis movement or anything along those lines. We are what we are. And I am concerned that we are showing a starting lineup. Again, there's no surprises here, that it's Joel Embiid, it's Paul George, and of course you fill in the other three pieces. And I know Yabusele is out, and that's fine. I know people wanted him back, but I'm not losing sleep over it. He's a great story. It would have been nice to have him back. They got to get somebody in here that can play defense, that can pull down rebounds. But I'll even take it a step further. The issue that I'm having with everything 76ers is, like, you look at these rosters that are filling out. And I'll give you the example of the Oklahoma City Thunder, who are the champions at this point in time. So ideally, and they're the favorites next year, ideally we would look at them as pocket aces, right? If this is a Texas Hold'em hand, they're pocket aces. There's nothing wrong with the Oklahoma City Thunder. They just showed you they got all their players back. They're battle tested. This is a team that can and should compete for another championship next season. Pocket aces. You look at some of these other rosters that are being put together right now. When out there in the West, I know everybody's infatuated with the Houston Rockets, getting Kevin Durant with that young squad. Great coach. What are they? Pocket kings? Are they ace king? Are we giving them a little bit too much credit when we start talking ace, or putting them in the conversation with the Oklahoma City Thunder as far as aces are concerned? And I want to go down the list. As I said, we have the spinning wheel here, and we'll spin it, and I'll have Sam tell me what type of starting hand they are as far as poker is concerned. And I'm wondering, with that exercise, what do you say about the 76ers? Because that's where I'm at. And I'm having trouble getting past everything that I felt like was going to happen last year that did. And I still have the bad feeling about next year as well. And, my wife is sitting down with me. She's home with the baby for a couple more weeks. And she's like, NBA already? Didn't the season just end? And you guys are already talking about next season? I said, whoa, free agency just happened last night. There's a lot of fresh, a lot of new right now. So it's okay for us to talk about the 76ers. I'm not going to be Mr. Negative over the next 2 to 3, 4 months until this season starts. I will eventually give them an opportunity to prove me wrong. But as we sit here right now and we look at the Atlanta Hawks, who just improved their odds from 100 to 1 to 25 to 1. Just listen to that. 100 to 1 to 75 or to 25 to 1 because of the moves that they just made. And for the first time that I could ever remember, I'm jealous of the Atlanta Hawks. I'm jealous of these teams that are going out there and making moves. I'm jealous of these teams that probably aren't going to win a championship next year, but it's new. And it's something that we don't know the result. We don't know how it's going to play out. The 76ers, I sit here right now on July 1st and I say, Joel Embiid's going to get hurt. Paul George is not going to play as many games as you think. He's 35 years old. Temper those expectations. And we're going to deal with the same song and dance about Nick Nurse and this front office and who's who and what's what. And maybe get some good performances by some rookies out there. Maybe some good performances, of course, by Tyrese Maxey, who is a hell of a player. But and McCain. But all in all, there's nothing new about this team as far as my outlook is concerned. Maybe that's a little too pessimistic for some right now, and I totally feel you and hear you on that. But as we sit here with these teams being put together, it's frustrating. It's absolutely frustrating. Joel Embiid, Paul George in that starting five, and you can't do anything about it other than hope and pray to the gods above. We'll see. We'll see what happens. And again, I would love to be wrong there, but that's what's going through my mind. I'm going to get Sam up here. Stream in again, Sam. One more time. I think the cable or the internet came back up. All right. Anyways, so we got NBA to get into, some moves that went down, of course, last night into today. A lot of movement as far as the Milwaukee Bucks and some big names out there trying to please Giannis. And even with this move of Miles Turner to the Bucks, which is a good move, in my opinion, getting some size, you're getting something new, right? They clearly were not good enough to win the championship last year, so you have to try something different. Of course, Dame is dealing with an injury. You can't count on him. He's getting a little older. So the Bucks decided to do this deal where they can go ahead and spread out his contract over the next 3 seasons and ultimately waive Dame. And now Giannis, apparently, according to Chris Haynes from Yahoo, is not happy with the way that Dame is being treated. And I just have to throw my hands up going, what are they supposed to do? The stretch provision. The stretch provision. Sam Oshtry will try one more time here. If not there, we'll go to the phone.
You got me?
I got you loud and clear. You got me.
I got you. It says the Wi-Fi is a little shaky, but my Wi-Fi is all good. There's definitely no storm here. So hopefully we can make it through this.
You got to rub it in a little bit more, huh? You're at the shore. You got sand in the feet, okay? And
I haven't been outside. I haven't been outside in 2 days because of free agency. Trust me, I'm going to spend the end of the week. I'm going to spend the end of the week outside for sure.
All right. So we'll try this, and if you drop, then I'll text you the phone number. We'll call it. All right? Let's do it.
Let's go.
Let's start with the 76ers, and this is where I'm at. And I hate to be negative, but I'm going to fill everybody in. I'll give you the cliff notes. I look around at rosters that are being built, and whether I want to believe in a team like the Atlanta Hawks, their odds went from 100 to 1 to 25 to 1. You look at what the Spurs are doing. You look at what the Mavericks are doing. I get it. Great. As far as luck with the draft picks, you get players like Wemby and Cooper Flagg, all understood. But all these teams seem to be getting new. And there's a different vibe, a buzz. 76ers are not getting new. There's nothing they can do about it. In the starting five, you are going to have Joel Embiid and Paul George. And I fear what the outcome will be for next year. And I don't think it's going to be much different as far as them playing as many games as they did this past season. I think it's going to be the same song and dance. So that's why I'm frustrated with the 76ers. Am I off? Where do you stand on that conversation? How do you approach when someone says, you know what, man, it's just the same old song and dance with JoJo and Paul George in that starting five? And if that's the case, man, we're just hoping and praying to the gods above.
Let me push back on that. Jared McCain is new. Tyrese Maxey is relatively new. Quentin Grimes is 24, 25 years old.
Is Grimes in?
Edgecombe.
Did they sign Grimes?
Not officially, but he will be in the next couple days. That's why they couldn't keep Gershon Yabusele.
People were telling me Yabusele was coming back too.
Well, that was a few months ago. Now that we're in free agency, he's a restricted free agent, Quentin Grimes, so someone can match that offer, or excuse me, someone can offer something, and the Sixers can and will match it, which is why they got rid of Gershon Yabusele and couldn't match his contract, which the Knicks gave him. So those are all new, young pieces, and I think that was a goal of Daryl Morey's, was to get younger and more athletic. And when you bring in VG Edgecombe, the most athletic player in the draft and one of the more athletic players in the NBA already as a rookie, because he has that much bounce, I think that really helps the Sixers. Like, that's going to help their youth and athleticism. Yeah, sure. If you want to talk about the Sixers season entirely hinges on Joel Embiid and they need Paul George to be healthy, and those are two guys you can't trust to be healthy, I get it. I can't argue that for a second. But in terms of the moves they've made this offseason, there's no doubt they've got younger and more athletic, and there's reason for optimism heading into next season.
All right, I will clip that. That's a great cut. Curious about this answer. JoJo goes down. Do they have people that can fill in that spot? That can be sustainable as far as doing what needs to be done, the dirty work, rebounds, points. We know what JoJo is capable of, but if Embiid is not available, Paul George is not available, do we have players on this current roster that could step in and maybe take it up another level?
Gershon is a huge loss in that regard for sure, because he could play some stretch five. So without him, that's obviously unfortunate. You bring back Andre Drummond, who also has injury history because he's aging too, and he wasn't really healthy that much last year, but he is still a good rebounder and can serve as a rim protector, rim running big. But really, the reason for optimism in terms of the front court depth is Adam Bona, who showed a ton of flashes as a rookie, who could be a really good center in this league, and I think is already going to emerge as one of the better centers in the league next year. So I think there's reason for optimism for the front court depth because what he showed as a rookie. So Adam Bona is going to have a pretty good season, and they're going to have to rely on him because it's not just if Joel Embiid goes down, it's when Joel Embiid rests. We know that's inevitable.
All right. And Bona is one of those guys we don't talk about as far as a draft pick. There's concern for Morey, where we need to give him a little bit more of the benefit of the doubt. And I was thinking about that yesterday, talking about that yesterday with Janai Broome and that selection. Could we revisit that? Because I don't think you and I have had an opportunity to discuss that. I know yesterday, Sean and yourself went live in the morning, played that here at 5 o'clock yesterday. Great listen. Talked all things NBA free agency, got everybody ready to go as far as what was about to take place. And then some carried into today, and we'll see more deals over these next few days. But the selection of Janai Broome, I was kind of in the middle where, you know, if I'm honest with everybody, when we watched Auburn play last year, there wasn't one time that anybody said this guy's going to be a good pro. There wasn't one time where anybody says, I can't wait to see him at the next level. And I asked multiple people. I'm sure I asked you. I'm sure we talked about it. He was always on our television. Auburn was great, and he was a runner-up for player of the year. But here Morey is, he selects him. And now I know that we're all trying to be rah-rah, pull, right? We're biased. We want to see the Sixers do well. I'm curious, you know, at the 35th overall pick, should we be frustrated that they moved? Is it a good spot that you buy low and hopefully, you know, big things happen? And should Daryl Morey get a little bit more as far as leeway is concerned from 76ers fans like myself? Hey, man, the proof is in the pudding. Look at all the selections he's made. He's hit on a lot of really good players. This dude's a baller. There's no doubt in my mind Janai Broome can play basketball. But is he going to be somebody that can contribute at the next level? Your thoughts on that?
The work ethic is there. The attitude, the winning persona is there. The vertical is certainly not there. I mean, one of the worst verticals we've seen in the NBA at the combine in a long time. So Daryl Morey does deserve the benefit of the doubt because he has been money with his draft selections with Tyrese Maxey and Jared McCain in the 20s, Adam Bona, who we just talked about. All these guys, he's been money. And you can't really expect someone to like hit a home run on the 35th pick. but I still didn't like it. And I don't think Janai Broom is going to be a good pro at all. You see guys like that in college all the time. You think of Frank Kaminsky, who was a player of the year back with Wisconsin, who was really successful with them. He never had much success in the NBA. There's a lot of bigs in college who don't necessarily translate to the NBA. I think I think Janai Broom fits under that boat. I just don't see him being a really good big because he's too unathletic. He was a low post presence in college, but you don't have that luxury in the NBA where you're going against bigger and more athletic guys. So I can't really see him contributing this year or beyond. But look, it's the 35th pick in the draft. You're not expecting a rotation player even when you're drafting a second rounder.
Yeah, that's where my mind went. And I know that I was reading something where he had his eyes on him the year before. They had a conversation, Morey. And like I said, I want to give Morey the benefit of the doubt. I do. And I like the player. I there was a lot to like about him. But when you talk about guys like you brought up a Kaminsky, I was looking at Drew Timme. Just look at the G League. Don't even reference those guys. Just look at the G League roster, and you will find 3 to 5 players on each roster that you're like, wow, he was a hell of a college player, and they're not sniffing the pros. Like that's where I'm at with this conversation with Broom, but we'll see. I had some fun yesterday at Sean Bernard's expense, the way he has flipped.
I know. I was listening. I heard it because he changes his mind. He changes his mind up. Like he the second you asked that question, he said, "No, I don't like Janai Broom."
I didn't even ask
any selection. Man. The Sixers could draft me, and he'd find a way to justify it. He'd find a way to justify that pick.
I didn't even ask a question. I was just brought his name up, and he was like, "No." And so I was like, "All right." Again, we are all in the same boat. We're pulling for the Sixers. We hope that dude can play, no doubt about it, or get some run and be able to compete at the next level. I know he's a good basketball player, but in the NBA, it's just a different monster, and there are countless examples over the past few years that we can look to of players that had great college careers and didn't sniff the pros. And Drew Timme was a 3-time All-American. 3-time. It's like, what are we doing here? All right, let's talk about players that will be having an impact on next year's, as far as the league is concerned, on some rosters across the league here. Specifically, I want to start with the Milwaukee Bucks and what is going on with the fact that they decided to move off of Dame here to please Giannis. They bring in Miles Turner, which is a good move, in my opinion. I look at him, and I know apples and apples as far as the contract is concerned, but putting that to the side, Miles Turner looked pretty damn good in the playoffs. I would love to have him get some good size. And now Giannis is apparently not happy with the way that Dame was treated. I talk about these things because we don't know what's going to happen from the waterfall, right? The waterfall effect, boom, or snowball, it gains steam. Like Giannis is the ultimate dude. If he wants out, the league is going to shift so much. There's going to be so much change. Maybe it would have been a little bit more crazier if it happened like last week before free agency. But I do think that we're going to see a lot of dominoes fall if Giannis wants out of Milwaukee, and it all comes down to him. What is your read right now what the Bucks just did today with Dame? And do you think this pushes Giannis in a negative manner and he says, you know what, it's time for me to leave Milwaukee?
If I'm one of these sharks circling around Giannis, like the Knicks, like the Rockets, like the Spurs, today was a really good day for those teams. Because if I'm Giannis, I would rather want out at this point than stick around with this team with this Miles Turner move. And yes, Miles Turner is a really good big. He's a good player. He's a good replacement for Brook Lopez. He's a 40% three-point shooter. He's a perfect stretch big to pair with Giannis because he can protect the rim and he also run the pick and pop and he space the floor. He's a shooter. Same thing with what we saw with Brook Lopez. And Brook Lopez was the perfect fit with Giannis. But Miles Turner is just a younger Brook Lopez in a lot of ways. And he was great for the Pacers, struggled in the finals a little bit, but was really good with the Pacers throughout there. And he's only 29 years old. The problem is what they just did to get Miles Turner is that they stretched or waived or however you want to term it to Damian Lillard, which is essentially they cut him, but they're going to continue to eat his salary. So that means for the next 5 years, Damian Lillard, who won't be playing on the Bucks, will be a 23% cap hit. So the Bucks are now spending $50 million on this roster spot for Miles Turner because of what they had to do by waiving Damian Lillard. That is $50 million a year. For Miles Turner, essentially, is how you can view it. And if I'm Giannis, I'm looking at this and going, yeah, I like Miles Turner as an addition for next season. For the next 5 years, how are we supposed to build this roster with Miles Turner And with Miles Turner eating what he's eating and still having Damian Lillard on our books, it is going to be really hard to build this roster around Giannis, a contending championship roster, even in a weak East, especially because no Damian Lillard. They don't control any of their draft picks for the next 5 years. There's a few swaps in there, but they don't control any of those picks. And they don't have a lot of good young players to build around Giannis right now. So if I'm Giannis, I'm looking at this move and I'm going, this is worse for the Bucks' future. This is worse for my future because it's going to be even harder to contend now. So I don't know what the Bucks were thinking when they did this without consulting Giannis beforehand, but this is a bad day for the Bucks and a really good day for these teams who are circling around Giannis and are putting trade packages together to potentially acquire him.
We'll cut that one too. Nice work there. I want to play devil's advocate and push back. Like, what if the Bucks said, all right, we're going to run it back? Like, that's clearly not good enough.
That's my point. That's my point. It's run it back, and they don't have a good enough team to contend for a title, even in the East.
So they have to make moves.
Yeah,
and it's still not pleasing Giannis, is my point.
They have to. Yeah, I get you on that. They have to make moves. It's better than doing nothing. But what they did to get Miles Turner was also cutting Damian Lillard and keeping his money and his contract on the books. So that it doesn't accomplish what you're trying to accomplish, maybe for one season, next season, but for the next 4 or 5 years, you're completely handicapped in building this roster out around Giannis, and you don't have any young players who are cheap who are you think are going to be potentially great players around Giannis. So I get it. It's like, what are you supposed to do? They're in a tough situation, but you had to find a way to not eat this contract with Damian Lillard while also building around the margins, which they didn't do. They just didn't accomplish.
Does Giannis get moved this offseason?
It's tough. The Chris Haynes report came out that Giannis is not happy about what they did with Damian Lillard and how they handled that. For the record, Chris Haynes' cousin is Giannis's wife. So Chris Haynes has the scoop there. So there's some reason. That's some inside baseball for you. That's some inside baseball. They have that. That's a real report, and I would trust Chris Haynes on that. The reports have pretty much been Giannis has been looking around the Bucks and saying, what are you doing with the draft and what are you doing from free agency? And the Bucks went for it for next season in free agency. But if I'm Giannis, I'm going, I don't like this. So I don't think he gets moved this offseason. Yeah. I think, if anything, he'll take it into the season, maybe at the deadline, at the trade deadline next season if things are going really poorly, or potentially the year after that. Where things, they don't even have Damian Lillard and they don't have a decent squad to continue to contend. So I don't think it's this offseason, but this was not a good move for the Bucks.
DraftKings Sportsbook showing the Milwaukee Bucks 13-1 to win the East next season. There are 6 teams in front of them. We're going to hit on a few of those in just a second. I do want to talk about 65-1 to Miami Heat, who have their own issues. And of course, that seems to be the rumor where Dame will end up. Number one, does Dame have anything left in his tank? He's going to miss a significant portion of time next year due to the injury. And do you believe he will end up with the Miami Heat?
Well, this is now a lifestyle decision for Dame because he's still getting paid from the Bucks. So the money doesn't matter. So it doesn't really matter who can pay him what. So he's going to go to probably LA or Miami because we know that's where he prefers to hang out. I think there's a good chance he ends up with the Heat.
You know that because you hang out in Miami and LA. I don't know that.
Well, it's not like I see him around in Miami when I'm there. He wasn't on my boat. He wasn't on my boat in Miami that almost sunk.
Love it.
But I do believe it's one of those two destinations, and because they don't have to pay him an exorbitant amount of money. What Dame has left in the tank? Probably not a lot. He's going to be 35 years old, coming off an Achilles tear. He relies on his explosiveness, his burst, his creation as a small guard. It's hard to imagine he's ever going to get back to that level. So is he going to change the Heat's fortune? No. If he can go to a contender where he can be kind of a low contributor, a low usage guy, and maybe have a secondary ball handler, maybe even a backup point guard role, there could be some usage for him there. But I don't think Damian Lillard at this point, coming back from an Achilles injury for the 26-27 season, is going to change a team's fortune.
I'm putting you to work this hour. I'm going to just hit you with these teams, and there's a lot to discuss. So let's talk about the Atlanta Hawks and what the hell is going on. Atlanta was 100-1 to win the NBA championship. They are now 25-1 to win the NBA championship due to the moves that they have made in free agency and, of course, trades and all that and more. Alexander Walker in a sign-and trade. They ended up adding Luke Kennard. They got Kristaps Porzingis last week, I believe, in that Boston deal. We know who's there with Trae Young. What else is going on? Is this real? Like, do you look at the Atlanta Hawks as a contender right now? And I want to ask you, I don't know if you're a poker player, Sam. I think you are. But if we look at Oklahoma City as pocket aces, as ace, the best starting hand, what are we talking about with the Atlanta Hawks right now? Are they suited? Are they, pocket kings? Are they, Jack 10? Where are we at right now with the Atlanta Hawks? Are they contenders for next year?
Yeah, maybe more of a Jack 10 than a pocket kings. I love this Hawks team, and I sat on our Monday show with Sean Bernard a couple weeks ago. Before these moves even went down, I told him the Hawks are a sleeper team to win a wide open East. And that was before they acquired Kristaps Porzingis and before free agency even hit. So when you look at the moves they made, when they trade for Kristaps Porzingis, and Kristaps Porzingis.
Why were you saying that before? Let me ask you. Why were you saying that before?
So before is because I already thought they had a good roster. So when you look at Trae Young, he had the best season of his career as a playmaker last year. He career highs in assists and potential assists. And the thing about Trae Young has always been his shot selection. He just comes in and chucks threes, doesn't make his teammates better. I thought that completely flipped last year. His playmaking, his shot selection really improved. So I thought we saw a big leap from Trae Young. And then people forget that Jalen Johnson was on an all-star trajectory before he got hurt last season. He averaged 19, 10, and 5 in 36 games before he went out last season. The Hawks were one of the better teams in the East before Jalen Johnson went out. So I'm of the mindset that Jalen Johnson is going to come back and have an awesome season. And then you look at some of their other players. Dyson Daniels was a most improved player of the year, I believe. One of the best defenders in the league. He also made leaps offensively. Zachary Risachar, their rookie, was a pretty good shooter, a solid wing. So I thought they had the pieces coming back already. But then you look at what they did in free agency and throughout this offseason, where you trade for Kristaps Porzingis, a rim-protecting stretch big, who's going to be a perfect pairing in the pick and pop with Trae Young. You sign Luke Kennard, one of the better shooters in the entire NBA. And then, of course, the big move is you sign Nickeil Alexander-Walker in free agency, who's a great secondary ball handler alongside Trae Young, but he's also a defensive guard who will perfectly pair with the Hawks. Him, Dyson Daniels, Jalen Johnson, Zachary Risachar, those are nightmares to guard. So this Hawks team is going to be really good defensively. And they also position themselves for the future. Like Kristaps on an expiring deal. Luke Kennard just got a 1-year deal. So now those are both expiring contracts. So even if those guys don't work out and they move on from them next year, they're going to have flexibility for next offseason, and they have a ton of draft assets. So this Hawks front office has perfectly maneuvered everything from the second they took over in the last couple of years. And they've done a great job positioning Trae Young, who's due for a max extension, to have success in the playoffs for the first time in a long time.
Unbelievable. Yeah, it's crazy to see odds movement like that. I tip my cap to you. You were a little bit ahead on that one. And of course, here we are now 12-1 to win the East. As I said, just for everybody out there, the Cavs are your front runners to win the East at plus 250. Knicks plus 280. Magic plus 550. Celtics 10-1. Sixers 11-1. Hawks 12-1. Would you?
And that's what I think you're seeing with a lot of teams is they're going all in. You saw the Magic go all in with the Desmond Bane trade. Hawks are now taking a more all-in approach because of how weak in the East is. It's really the Cavs and the Knicks are those two top teams in the top tier. And then you have a bunch of teams like the Magic, the Hawks, the Sixers who have a chance, but they're taking the all-in mindset because the Pacers are out of it with Tyrese Halliburton not in the picture. And especially now that Miles Turner's gone. And the Celtics, who they're still up on the odds board, but I think the Celtics don't have a chance because they're stripped to bare bones and Jason Tatum won't be there all of next season. So the East is wide open. So you're seeing a lot of teams take an all-in approach.
All right, the Atlanta Hawks are 12-1 to win the East. Would you have them in front of the 76ers? And do you think there is some value there on that play?
I think there's definitely value there on that play. Could have got more value 2 days ago, but there's still value there on the Hawks. I wouldn't be shocked if we're sitting here 10 months from now when the Hawks are a couple games away from an NBA Finals appearance. In terms of how would I compare with them and the Sixers are the better team on paper for sure. Their experience combined with their youth now. It's just what's Joel Embiid going to be in come postseason? That's the biggest question that nobody has an answer to. And there's no way to even try to predict the answer to that question because we don't know what his knee is going to look like next season, what his workload is going to look like. But the Sixers are the better team on paper. But if I was going to take a future on a flyer on a future, then it would be on the Hawks.
All right, talk to me about the Knicks. Of course, Yabusele in there, Jordan Clarkson in there, and I might be missing another move or two. Do you like what the Knicks did? Of course, still waiting for a head coach. It looks like Mike Brown will be the guy.
Yeah, it does look like Mike Brown's going to be the guy. And clearly, I thought head coaching or who the head coach was would have an impact on the free agents they'd be able to sign, because their agents and their players are going to want to know, who is this guy playing for? But I'm sure the Knicks front office has been telling them it's probably going to be Mike Brown. Mike Brown's going to be the guy over the last couple days. I like what the Knicks have done, and they didn't have to make any major moves because their core four and really their core five with Josh Hart is set. But the whole thing with the Knicks has been their depth issue. They haven't had a bench to rely on, and people were critical of Tom Thibodeau because he wasn't playing his bench. But I defended him, saying he didn't have a bench to play, and now he finally does. Jordan Clarkson is a scoring burst off the bench. He can score in bunches. Not the most efficient player, not exactly a plus defender, but he's been around the league for a while. So I think that's a good scoring addition off the bench. Gershon Yabusele, as we know, as every Sixer fan knows, that guy is a guy you want on your team. He just plays so hard every single night. He's a great rebounder, can stretch the floor, finish around the rim. He's going to be a perfect addition for the Knicks. And so you could be looking at a bench for the Knicks where Josh Hart, Gershon Yabusele, Jordan Clarkson, and Deuce McBride are coming off it, with potentially Mitchell Robinson in that starting lineup surrounding that core four. So the whole thing the Knicks wanted to accomplish this offseason was add depth, and I think they did that pretty well.
All right. And, of course, hopefully Jalen Brunson can keep those ankles healthy, and that team will absolutely compete for the East and maybe have a more successful season than they did this past year, which is saying a lot. Shout out Villanova. Of course, we are the home of Villanova hoops and football. Football season right around the corner. Brand new year with a new coach installed for hoops. And Colin Gillespie, Villanova legend, intending to sign a 1-year contract with the Phoenix Suns. Of course, he busted in the scene last year pretty well and caught the attention of Kevin Durant, and Durant gave him a lot of praise. So he's been rewarded, and he's going to get an opportunity to play with the Phoenix Suns, which is great to see. And, I hate to say it because we're looking at it from a white perspective, from like what TJ did, but like, he is a baller, dude. You give him the opportunity, and it's put the race to the side. Because you hear many players that have been around the league, like PJ Tucker's, like you find your way to fit on a team. And of course, it's easier when you're doing things like TJ did, don't get me wrong, but that's not the necessity here. And a guy like Gillespie will come in and be that glue, busted on defense, pick it up from baseline to baseline. And, oh, by the way, not that bad of a shooter as well. So Gillespie getting an opportunity with the Phoenix Suns. Pretty cool stuff there. Anything to add on that one?
Your golf partner, Colin Gillespie.
Didn't tweet me back, so maybe it wasn't him. No, it was him. I literally, so people have no idea, I played golf at, where the hell was that? Bella Vista. Nice track up there in Collegeville area, whatever, Limerick. And it was hot. I was terrible. I throw the clubs in the bag in the back of the car, and literally I look up to go get in the cart to drive it back, and I'm like, what's up, man? And then I'm like, wait a minute, I know that dude. How do I know that dude? And I almost go,
texted us,
Arts. It's Arts. And I almost said Arts, and I'm like, no, that's the other guy. No, it's definitely not Arts. It's Gillespie. It took me a second to get who the hell it was, and I'm like, yo, I just saw Gillespie, and of course Beef knows him, so it was pretty funny how that worked out. But
good for him to get that contract on that 1-year deal. Took advantage of a two-way situation and a bad situation in Phoenix last year, but he was awesome. He played real minutes for them. Kevin Durant obviously praised him. It just should be a rule of thumb for any NBA executive is take a chance on a dude that Jay Wright coached, because Jay Wright just breeds winners. And that's what Colin Gillespie was for Villanova, and that's what he's been. And now he has a great opportunity on a 1-year contract, guaranteed contract, to play for the Suns.
Good stuff there. Yeah, I like what you just said, Sam. Yep, take a shot on anything that Jay Wright has coached before, because he's going to be a good player. All right, let's keep it moving. Let's talk a little bit about the West Side. And DraftKings put out a tweet earlier today that said Denver Nuggets have received more handle to win the NBA title, a plus 1,100 in the past 12 hours than any other team combined. Do you agree with that? Do you like that? Where do we stand on the Denver Nuggets and what they've been able to do? Of course, the big trade late last night, one eye open. I thought it was Jamal Murray that got traded. I'm like, what? Murray out? What? No, it was Michael Porter Jr., who had himself a pretty good run with the Nuggets, filled it up. I don't remember really too much as far as his injury history with the Nuggets. I do know what was deal coming out of college. But a guy that I liked, a guy that was there for the 76ers to draft too, but that's a different story another day. But a big-time move last night as far as trade is concerned. Do you like money coming in on the Denver Nuggets? Do you agree?
Yeah, I love it because I think the Nuggets immediately emerged as contenders again. And Michael Porter Jr. was a really good player. He was also a pretty problematic player for the Nuggets in the playoffs the last couple seasons. Just not a good defender. Mike Malone didn't trust him defensively for large stretches, and just too inefficient of a shooter to surround Jokic with. Like, you go back to his playoff stats, and he was injured. He was injured, don't get me wrong, in this postseason. He was wearing that big brace on his shoulder. He was obviously injured, but he only averaged 7 points on 25% three-point shooting against the Thunder in this round they got eliminated in. And you go back to last year, the year before that, when they lost to the Nuggets, lost to the Timberwolves in the second round. He averaged 10 points on 37% shooting from the field. So he's been pretty bad in the playoffs in big moments for the Nuggets, and the Nuggets just needed to bolster that position. But they did it by also getting a guy who's cheaper, like Cam Johnson coming in. I think Cam Johnson is an upgrade over Michael Porter Jr., and his salary is significantly less than Michael Porter Jr. So Cam Johnson's a great shooter. He's a volume shooter. He's going to help Jokic a lot and this entire Nuggets team with shooting. But it wasn't just that they could shed Michael Porter Jr.'s contract and bring in Cam Johnson, who I think is an upgrade as is. They also created another position to bring in because of how much they cleared in their salary cap. And who that was Bruce Brown, who is very, very familiar with the Nuggets. He won a championship with the Nuggets and Jokic back in 2023. So I think this is a great move for the Nuggets. And I get why there's a lot of money coming in. And I get why people are calling the Nuggets a complete winner, because the Nuggets accomplished what they needed to, which was adding depth, because they didn't have a lot of depth in the postseason last year. And then another move that really went under the radar for the Nuggets is they added Jonas Valanciunas, who people aren't really talking about. But the Nuggets have not had a backup big on time. It was DeAndre somebody who I can't remember his last name right now. But Jonas Valanciunas is
Jordan.
Now,
was it DeAndre Jordan?
Yes, DeAndre Jordan. Yeah, I don't know how I blanked on that name. DeAndre Jordan. The problem was DeAndre Jordan was too old and couldn't play defense at this point, so he never got real minutes. Jonas Valanciunas is going to play significant backup minutes in that center spot. And when you always look at this Nuggets team, their plus minus is so bad and their net rating is so bad without Jokic on the floor. You bring in Jonas Valanciunas, that should help that backup center spot. So the addition of him, of Bruce Brown, and replacing Cam Johnson with Michael Porter Jr., I thought this was a great offseason for the Nuggets, who have finally surrounded Jokic with the necessary talent to win a championship, which they haven't done the last 2 seasons.
All right. SGA got rewarded for the season that he just had. I think he's making $71 million per season.
Just a ridiculous amount of money.
And I was watching NBA TV, and they had this one dude. I don't know who it was. It was a short white guy. He was from front office somewhere.
Ryan McDonough.
Okay, there you go.
He was the Suns. He was the Suns GM. He drafted Devin Booker.
Interesting. He was good. Very buttoned up, nerdy with the numbers, and that's fine. That's his role. But he did say SGA left money on the table next year.
He did.
He could have signed a 5-year deal next year, and I think an average of 77 million per year. It's like,
what a sacrifice the guy took.
That's come on, man. That's a team player right there. All right. So with that being said, Sam, we know what OKC is next year. Jalen Williams just had wrist surgery. He'll be fine. We know how good they are. They're set up. Sam Presti, yada, yada, yada. They're your favorites to win. Has anybody, and if not, past them as far as your mind is concerned, as far as roster construction at this point in time? If they haven't, who's the next closest? Who's the closest one as far as giving OKC a run for their money in the West?
Nobody's past them, but the Nuggets and the Rockets are right there with them. And the Thunder, what they accomplished in terms of the regular season, their playoffs, a historically great defense, they deserve all the credit, especially how young they were. And they're only going to get more experience going into the next few years. But they also didn't play any remarkably great competition. This Nuggets team that they're going to have to face next year, and this Nuggets team, pretty much Jokic by himself, took the Thunder to 7 games, and then they just ran out of gas in that 7th game, and the Thunder ended up winning that second-round series. This Nuggets team is coming back much improved next year, and this Thunder team is pretty much going to be the exact same roster unless they make a major move, which most people don't expect them to do. So this Nuggets team is coming back as the better group, a team that just took them to 7 games. So I think the Nuggets are a legitimate threat to the Thunder. And then the other team is the Rockets. To me, that's the second and third best team in the West. Of course, the Rockets, what they've done in free agency and the offseason by trading for Kevin Durant, getting off an inefficient player in Jalen Green. And then what they did yesterday with Dorian Finney-Smith. That's a 3-and-D guy, a guy who can replace Dylan Brooks, who you sent out in the Kevin Durant trade. I really like him. They got even bigger by adding Clint Capella, who it's kind of a weird move that they added Clint Capella because they don't need more size in the front court. They already have Steven Adams and they already have Alperen Sengun, but they loved playing those two big lineups. I mean, those two big lineups dominated the offensive rebounding. When Alperen Sengun and Steven Adams were on the floor together, they had the best offensive rebounding rate in the entire NBA of any other lineup. So now adding Clint Capella to the mix, who can play within that spot when Steven Adams is out of the lineup or has to miss games because he's older, I think that's a great move for the Rockets. Even though I'm not sure Clint Capella will be there that long. It's a lot of money that they paid a guy to only play limited minutes. But I think this Rockets team is well positioned to compete with the Nuggets and the Thunder as the three best teams in the West.
Excellent. Sam Oshtry crushing it for us here as he always does. You can find him at The Score. Be sure to give him a follow on all things socials as well. It's his first initial, last name, Soshtry. All things socials, and of course does a great job with Sean Menard with that picks and roll on a Monday here. Plenty to discuss as far as the world of NBA free agency is concerned. I do want to give an update. It is absolutely pouring right now here in Philadelphia, and it looks like the Phillies game is pretty close to being canceled. There's a lot of beat writers saying that right now. It is 4:00, but yeah, it would not shock me.
It's beautiful out my window, in case you were wondering.
Unbelievable. Dude, unbelievable. Yeah, I'll be there next week. I'm looking forward to getting to Avalon next week. Man, I can't wait for that sand in the toes. It better not rain. We have had terrible weather.
Awful. This whole summer, it's been awful.
Bad weather in Philadelphia for quite some time, man. It's been frustrating. Now, we do have another 2 months of summer and then some. So hopefully we can, get some good stuff going there. But bottom line is, man, another rainy, wet day here in the Delaware Valley. All right, let's stay in the NBA. I want to talk to you about the Spurs. Where are we at right now with the Spurs? There's a lot of expectation that Wemby could be very well the MVP for next season. I know a lot of people have that ticket. Not here to argue that. But if he is the MVP, if he is clearly on that level, should we not expect more from a team perspective? Or is that roster still a work in progress? We know what happened with Pop last year. Right here, right now, the Spurs are 28-1. There are 8 teams in front of them. And I get it. You can make the case for the Mavericks, for the Clippers. I don't know why you'd have the Lakers in front of them, but even then, you get healthy LeBron and Luka. I get it. But there is a lot of fanfare and buildup for Wemby and the Spurs, yet I'm not seeing it from the odds makers. Where do you stand on them? What are they missing?
I think the Spurs are taking an aggressively patient approach, which I think is the right way to handle what their situation there is right now. Right way to build around Victor Wembanyama, a generational prospect who is already a top 10 to 12 player in the league. You saw them get a little aggressive when they got De'Aaron Fox in, who's a veteran point guard and it should pair well with Victor Wembanyama. But now Wemby also has 2 young guys to build around with Stephon Castle, who was the rookie of the year last year, and Dylan Harper, who was the number 2 pick this year and should have an immediate impact for this team. And they still have Keldon Johnson and Devin Vessel and all these other guys. So I don't think the Spurs are immediately contenders, but I do think they expect to make a jump into the playoffs for sure, where they haven't been since, I believe, 2018. But even into like a top 5 to 6 range in the West, if Wemby is really going to emerge as an MVP candidate. And what they did in free agency was interesting, where they got Luke Cornett, who could be the best backup center in the league, and they paid a pretty hefty price for him, but he's going to be awesome when he's in Wemby's minutes when he's out as a rim protector. But even alongside Wemby, that is going to be a huge front court when those guys are paired together. So I like that move a lot. I think the Spurs are remaining patient, but also know that they should be competing this year. And they might speed up the timeline if they need to, if a big shark becomes available, like a Giannis Antetokounmpo, because they have the assets to pursue him. But in the short term, they should be staying patient as they are, while also building a right squad around Victor Wembanyama, which I think they have, because I think this team is going to be a top 6 team in the West.
Wemby's 16-1. Is he worth a bite at MVP?
I think so. I mean, he obviously dealt with those blood clots last year, and he was going to win Defensive Player of the Year before that. You hope he's coming back healthy. By all accounts, based on everything he's doing this offseason, he will come back healthy from those blood clots that he dealt with. I think he's going to emerge as a consensus top 5 player in the league. So, and he will be top 5 in MVP voting. As the season approaches, I think that number continues to go down. So I would take that right now. I don't know how many guys are ahead of him exactly, but I think 5 guys are ahead of him. I think he's gonna be a top 5 player in the league. So I would probably take that.
Name the 5 guys that are in front of him.
Giannis, Jokic, SGA, Luka. Who am I missing as the 5th?
You're 4 for 4. You want to take a guess?
4 for 4, yeah. Well, obviously it's not Tatum, who would have been last year. It's probably not Brunson. It can't be Kevin Durant or LeBron, not Steph. My mind's blanking. Who is it?
Ant.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't 10 to 1. Surprising, right after him, Cade Cunningham had a great season. 30 to 1, Cade Cunningham. Anything there for you?
I like it a lot, especially because Jaden Ivey's coming back. So he's going to have more relief, but that's actually going to help him. And I think he'll play more off ball, which I think is pretty good for Cade Cunningham's development. So I think that's a decent price. People aren't really talking about the Pistons because they haven't had a really active free agency, even though they got Karis LeVert, of course, Malik Beasley, what happened with him, which is unfortunate. But Karis LeVert comes kind of replace Malik Beasley because, of course, with the gambling investigation, he's probably not going to be around next year or maybe ever in the NBA again. But the Pistons were one of the nice stories of the league last year. And you saw their entire youth and young core take a leap together. But that was without Jaden Ivey for most of the year. So I think the Pistons are going to be one of the better teams in the East, too, even though they're not making major moves like the Magic or the Hawks or some of these other teams. And if the Pistons are a top 3 seed, then I think Cade Cunningham's certainly in the MVP conversation.
All right. Fantastic stuff. Stan Oshtry. Unbelievable. We were just peppering him with NBA free agency questions. The man's locked himself inside a beach house. He can't get outside. We appreciate you hopping up on here. Great job, Sam. Now, any other big names? What are you watching for? What's something that you got your eye on right now? Team perspective, player perspective, putting Giannis to the side. What's something that you're looking to right now for free agency perspective?
Yeah, well, I was going to say the league is just monitoring what's going on with Giannis, because everyone's just going to be looking at how he views this Bucks offseason and this free agency and draft period. And we'll probably get a decent report in the next week or two, maybe around Summer League, of what Giannis actually thinks about his future in Milwaukee and whether he's really seriously open to pursue other options. So I think the league is monitoring Giannis. DeAndre Ayton's another big name in free agency. What are the Lakers going to do at center? Because I think DeAndre Ayton is just damaged goods at this point. The word around him is bad attitude, constantly late to practice, to games. Everything about him is just you don't want to touch this guy. You should want nothing to do with him. Bad work ethic, and that's why it didn't work out in Phoenix in the end, but then with the Blazers who had to end up buying him out. But the Lakers also need a center. So would the Lakers actually bring him into JJ Redick's new culture? Because the Lakers struck out on a lot of other centers. So it's really what's going on with the Lakers at center, what's going on with DeAndre Ayton, and then Al Horford's another name to monitor too, which I expect him to sign with the Warriors, but we'll see what happens over the next day.
Sixers Summer League, July 5th. How about that?
They have a good schedule.
Oh, they got a good schedule, huh? Are you upset that Jared McCain isn't playing as far as the Summer League is concerned?
No, I mean, he only played, 30-something, like 20, less than 30 games in his first year, but he kind of outgrew the Summer League in those games. When rookies are that good and that talented, they don't go back to Summer League, and I don't expect him. I wouldn't have expected him to be on that roster. But I think they play the Mavs and Cooper Flag in game 1.
Wow.
They have a fun Summer League roster, too.
No, they play the Jazz game 1, July 5th, July 7th, OKC, July 8th, Memphis.
Oh, so Vegas. That's the Salt Lake. They're in Salt Lake Summer League.
Vegas, they play Dallas at the end on July 16th. So 10th, 12th, 15th, and 16th, they play Spurs, Hornets, Wizards, and then Dallas. Oh, so we get Ace off the jump.
Yeah.
That's
a
pretty
good
cool.
Vegas schedule, at least. I guess they're in Salt Lake, too, but that's a good Vegas schedule.
All right. I do want to, since I was picking on Sean Bernard, let me do it one more time because he wrote something about Jared McCain not playing in Summer League.
Yeah.
Surprised Jared McCain will not be making any appearances considering his rookie season last just 23 games. Personally, Sean Bernard said he would have had him around and played the first 2 games just to get some familiarity with Edgecombe and to show why he is too good. Will be a fun squad.
Yeah. I mean, I get the logic. It's just guy coming off injury like that. like, why risk it? He obviously showed that he was too good in the regular season for summer league. Get him reps with VJ, but I'd rather just sit him and keep him in the gym. He doesn't need to play summer league, but I get it from both perspectives.
All right, Sam, awesome stuff, dude. Can't thank you enough. We dealt with some adversity. We had some bad connections. We got terrible weather in Philadelphia. It's sun and shining down there in Margate.
What are the plans for the 4th?
Buddy's house and golf on Thursday the 3rd. Our fireworks are on the 3rd in Conshohocken, so that's a great thing. So
did you tell me they canceled the fireworks and then people were so upset about them they brought them back?
It was some dumb. All right, let me take that back. It wasn't a dumb parade. It was a parade that they canceled, and then now they brought it back on because people in leadership positions don't know how to act anymore in 2025. So they didn't understand like canceling it, and now they're bringing it back. So it's a good thing it's back on, but fireworks were never canceled. We are in a different jurisdiction, but bottom line is it's a fun one on Thursday, July 3rd, July 4th, hanging out with a buddy. Got to work July 5th and right back at it next week, man. Talking all things Sixers, Eagles, Phillies, you name it. We're all over it right here on The Gambler. Sam, enjoy the rest of your day and look forward to the rest of free agency. You covering it for The Score, sir.
Yes, sir. I appreciate it. I'll talk to you soon.
You the man. There he is, Sam Oshtry, once again on the Gambler stream. Any questions, be sure to hit him up at SOSHTRY on socials. Read him at The Score. Fantastic job across the board by Sam on all things our number one NBA free agency. Unfortunately, tonight's Phillies game has been postponed. We are playing 2 tomorrow, Ernie Banks style, 105 and 615. According to Luke Arcane, if you had tickets for tonight, they'll be good for the second game. Fireworks are still on for tomorrow night. So that's unfortunate. No Phillies and Padres action, but it is dumping outside. So fireworks still on for tomorrow night. Oh, we love those fireworks. I got to swing by Lowe's. Lowe's has good fireworks. I bought Costco fireworks last year, and they weren't all that good. They were, they whatever. Good price. They weren't all that good. My buddy Colin, he does 1,000,001 things as far as real estate is concerned, always fixing stuff up. So every time he goes to Lowe's, he's been buying like a handful of fireworks, just stockpiling them. And we've fired off a few over the past few weeks. And I'm telling you, these things are like $5 and they deliver. Look, we're not trying to, shut the block down or anything like that. But, man, those things are awesome. So I need to swing by Lowe's and just go get a couple for Thursday and, of course, Friday as well. But everybody be safe out there. No JPP stuff, all right? Coming up, other side, let's talk some soccer. Larry Henry Jr. gets us caught up in the world of soccer. I'm wearing my U.S. men's national team kit. Of course, got Gold Cup game coming up here. Christian Pulisic World Cup next year. We got Club Cup, whatever the hell is going on right now, all around Philadelphia. I got Chelsea. I got all these great teams right in the thick of it, of the city. And it's been a lot of fun to pay attention to these games. He's going to fill me in on a lot of it. I have full hand up in the air. Have not been invested in anything really soccer all that much the way I used to. And it's a shame because I just got 1,000,001 things going on, but have been paying attention to the Philadelphia Union first place, kicking butt and taking names. Of course, watched the game on Sunday. They ended up losing 1-0 to Columbus. Very good Columbus team. But they are for real. A lot of changes took place with the Union. We'll talk a little bit about that. Of course, U.S. men's national team, all that more with Larry Henry Jr. on the other side. Back after this.
Our iHeartRadio Music Festival, presented by Capital One, is back in Vegas.
T-Mobile Arena.
September 19th and 20th, streaming live only on Hulu. 15 artists, 2 nights, 1 stage. Get tickets now at AXS.com.
Get your laundry Vegas ready with Arm & Hammer Power Sheets. Just toss in a detergent sheet. No drips, no plastic jugs, no mess. Arm & Hammer is a proud sponsor of the iHeartRadio Music Festival. Clean up before you turn up. Shop Arm & Hammer Power Sheets now.
Fox Sports Radio, The Gambler. Now, total traffic for Philadelphia.
Flooding causing problems on the Schuylkill both ways. Eastbound calling 202 to approaching City. The left lane's blocked. Westbound Jan University out past City with the left lane blocked. The Vine Expressway tied up both ways. Schuylkill to 95. 95 northbound backed up Girard to Bridge. All right, to tell total traffic.
This report is sponsored by Staples.
Bobby Bones here with some easy trivia. What does the Staples easy button say? That was easy. I mean, that was easy. You knew that, right? And now you know to press it for prints, shipping, and even passport photos. Plus, next day delivery to over 98% of the U.S. I see you, Staples. That was easy.
I have heart failure, and being out of breath all the time was just too much.
My lower back pain was interrupting family time. My carpal tunnel syndrome was taking me away from work. That's why I talked to my cardiologist about my symptoms.
That's why I talked to my cardiologist.
That's why I talked to my cardiologist and discovered I had ATTR-CM, or transthyretin cardiac amyloidosis.
If you have heart failure and new or worsening symptoms, it could be ATTR-CM. ATTR-CM is a serious heart condition often accompanied by other non-heart-related symptoms. Talk to your cardiologist today and see what's possible. Vindamax, tafamidis, is a prescription pill taken once a day to treat adults with ATTR-CM to reduce death and hospitalization for heart problems. Tell your doctor about all your medications, medical conditions, and if you have liver problems or breastfeeding, pregnant, or plan to be. There are no known side effects with Vindamax. For prescribing information, call 1-877-278-9632. Learn more at Vindamax.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
In the podcast, The United States of Kennedy, two Kennedy-obsessed hosts with contrasting perspectives take a deep dive into the Kennedy family's impact, good and bad, on American culture. This week, we're talking about Teddy Kennedy and Chappaquiddick.
There's the official record, and then there's a lot of other theories about what happened that night, and I have my own.
Listen on America's #1 podcast network, iHeart. Follow The United States of Kennedy and start listening on the free iHeartRadio app today.
The last thing anyone wants is to leave behind confusion, stress, or worse, family conflict. That's why estate planning isn't just for the wealthy. It's for families like mine, and probably like yours. With Trust and Will, I created my estate plan in minutes, from naming guardians for my kids to putting our house in a trust to avoid probate. Fast, affordable, and way easier than I thought. Every plan is designed by estate planning attorneys and customized for your state. Plans start at just $199 and include essentials like healthcare directives and power of attorney. With Trust and Will's bank-level security and built-in privacy protections, your personal information.
All right, 5 o'clock hour underway here on The Gambler, and NBA free agency front and center for a lot of us. 76ers sitting on their hands because there's not much they can do, but good draft picks nonetheless. Of course, Edgecombe will be playing out there in the Summer League, something to keep our eyes on. And oh, by the way, gets started on July 5th. This weekend. All right, talking about the NBA, all things free agency. Sam Oshtry joined me a little earlier today to break it down. Be sure to follow Sam on all things socials at SOSHTRY. And of course, read them at The Score. We open up talking about all the changes. It has been a true roster roulette day in the NBA. Here's Sam and I a little earlier today.
Do you own or manage a business here in Philadelphia? Are you unsure where to start when it comes to advertising? Well, here's a surprise. Fox Sports The Gambler, your local iHeart station, is the one place you can get it all. Hey, it's Sean Brace, and we can help with everything from radio and podcast ads to social media and digital. And we can even get local voices like mine spreading the word about your business. So if you're looking for someone to take care of it all, do yourself a favor right now. Call 844-844-iHeart or visit iHeartAdvertising.com today.
Hey, man, you all right? Need me to call 911? No, call Top Dog Law. Get top dollar for your accident at topdoglaw.com. Once again, that's topdoglaw.com. Summertime is here, and who needs a cool grand in their hand? Fox Sports The Gambler has you covered. Listen weekdays from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. and at the top of every hour for your shot to win $1,000. Once you hear the keyword for that hour, get on over to foxphlgambler.com and enter to win a grand in your hand. Once again, that's 9 times a day for your chance to win $1,000. Nobody does it like Fox Sports The Gambler in Philly.
Looking for sun protection that actually works and feels great? Wear SPF by PGA Pro Justin Thomas has you covered, both on and off the course. Dermatologist tested and sweat resistant, it's broad spectrum SPF that won't mess up your swing or your skin. From the first tee to everyday life, Wear SPF is a high-performance skincare collection that helps you protect yourself like the pros. It's par for the course. Shop now at wearspf.com and stay sun safe all year long. That's wearspf.com.
Take me out to the ball game.
Book a stay out of town.
Book a spa package and lounge by the pool.
The kids agree that this trip really rules,
So we'll book an apartment with space for the whole family. And it's 1, 2, 3 clicks away to your perfect Booking.com stay.
The right stay can make you a fan of any U.S. city. Booking.com, Booking.yeah.
Official accommodation partner of MLB.
Discover the 4th of July sale at Target. Save 20% on clothing and swimwear for women, select cookies with Target Circle, and up to 50% off Sun Squad sporting goods. Get ready for a fireworks-worthy celebration with patriotic cookies, fun sports gear, and of course, spectacular fits. The deal's end July 5th, so hurry and get 20% off apparel, select cookies with Target Circle, and 50% off Sun Squad sports gear, only at Target. Restrictions apply.
It's cake batter. It's cookie dough. It's the new Superman Cake Batter Cookie Dough Blizzard treat. Now at participating DQ locations for a limited time. Fly in today for this cosmic collision of flavor. And don't miss Superman, only in theaters July 11th. DQ. Happy tastes good.
Hey, this is Lincoln Kennedy. Here's what's trending on the iHeart Sports Network.
Presented by Mercedes-Benz.
A third straight wins in reach for the Phils, and they'll host San Diego again tonight and try to do it. Lefty Christopher Sanchez starts on the mound for Philly. Boston's Wilyer Abreu, he became the first big leaguer with a grand slam and inside the park homer in the same game since 1958 last night. And with NBA free agency underway, the Sixers are adding front court depth. Philly is signing forward Trendon Watford to a multi-year contract. I'm Scott Davidson.
The Mercedes-Benz Dream Days are back with offers on vehicles like the 2025 E-Class, CLE Coupe, C-Class, and EQE Sedan. Hurry in now through July 31st. Visit your local authorized dealer or learn more at mbusa.com/dream.
It's the Daily Ticket with Sean Brace, 3 to 6 p.m. Monday to Friday.
Philly is getting a WNBA team. Finally, it's happening. Now, for years, we've wondered why. Of all places, Philadelphia didn't have an expansion team? Well, my guess was the venue situation. And with Josh Harris owning the new team, that assumption proved correct. A new arena, new team coming in 2030. Look, the WNBA isn't for everyone, and that's fine. I'm a huge soccer supporter. Guess what? Not everyone is. I work for the Philadelphia Wings lacrosse team. Indoor lacrosse doesn't exactly move the needle for some. But here's the thing. Unless you actually give it a chance, your opinion doesn't really matter to me. Go to a Union or a Wings game, and I guarantee you'll want to come back for more. And I have a funny feeling this WNBA team will be no different.
If you can wager on it, we're talking about it right here on The Gambler.
My station, baby!
Fox Sports Radio, The Gambler. Now, total traffic for Philadelphia.
A good afternoon. Tuesday drive home, already a mess. We've got flooding both ways on the Schuylkill. Eastbound crawling 202 to approaching City Avenue. The left lane's blocked with flooding. And then westbound Stop-and-Go University out to Belmont. Good news is the left lane that was blocked there between City and Belmont reopened. That flooding has subsided. The Vine Expressway tied up both ways. Schuylkill to 95 northbound heavy. Walt Whitman to Girard. And then Stop-and-Go Allegheny up to Bridge. Larry Tortella, total traffic.
This report is sponsored by Staples.
Bobby Bones here with some easy trivia. What does the Staples easy button say? That was easy. Boom. I mean, that was easy. You knew that, right? And now you know to press it for prints, shipping, and even passport photos. Plus, next day delivery to over 98% of the U.S. I see you, Staples. That was easy.
Do you own or manage a business here in Philadelphia? Are you unsure where to start when it comes to advertising? Well, here's a surprise. Fox Sports The Gambler, your local iHeart station, is the one place you can get it all. Hey, it's Sean Brace, and we can help with everything from radio and podcast ads to social media and digital. And we can even get local voices like mine spreading the word about your business. So if you're looking for someone to take care of it all, do yourself a favor right now. Call 844-844-iHeart or visit iHeartAdvertising.com today.
The following heartwarming yet informative scene is brought to you by Trust and Will.
Son, your grandpa and I used to work on this car together, and when I'm gone, I want you to have it.
Wow. Thanks, Dad. Doesn't count. What you need is a will. Luckily, Trust and Will makes it easy. Designed by attorneys, but customized by you, you can easily create a state-specific, legally valid document that actually counts. Now, let's hear this tiger purr, am I right? Start your will at trustandwill.com. Use offer code COUNT for 10% off and make it count. Trust and Will is an online estate planning service. For details, see trustandwill.com.
Introducing the new Dell AI PC.
Powered by the Intel Core Ultra processor, it helps do your busy work for you, so you can fast forward through editing images, designing presentations, generating code, debugging code, summarizing meeting notes, finding files, managing your schedule, responding to Jim's long emails, leaving all the time in the world for the things you actually want to do. No offense, Jim. Get a new Dell AI PC starting at $699.99 at Dell.com/AI-PC. How those ahead stay ahead.
Now more than ever, Lowe's knows you don't just want a low price, you want the lowest price. And with our lowest price guarantee, you can count on us for competitive prices on all your home improvement projects. If you find a qualifying lower price somewhere else on the same item, we'll match it. Lowe's, we help, you save. Price match applies the same item, current price at qualifying retailers. Exclusions and terms apply. Learn how we'll match price at Lowes.com/lowest price guarantee.
Hey, Joy. Oh, you are glowing.
Oh, hey, more like Mira joyed that Miralax helped me go. I was so backed up. Tried mega coffees, prune juice, everything. Then Miralax. And hello, gentle relief without the harsh side effects.
Ooh, how does it work?
It works naturally with the water in your body for constipation relief. Find Miralax today at your local retailer.
Use as directed for occasional constipation.
Number 1 on your car radio preset and the new and improved iHeartRadio app. WDAS and WD273D Philadelphia is Fox Sports Radio, The Gambler. Now, your chance to win $1,000. Just enter this nationwide keyword on our website. Check. That's check. Enter it now.
FoxPHLGambler.com. Once again, FoxPHLGambler.com right now. Yes, indeed. If you're just tuning in, Phillies game 2 versus the Padres rained out. It's nasty outside. Stay inside. Watch TV. Plenty to watch, to tune into these days, including the great game of soccer. Oh, my goodness. If you're a soccer fan, you're absolutely loving what's taking place here in Philadelphia, of course, coast to coast with the club championship. And then we got U.S. men's national team with the Gold Cup right now. Guatemala tomorrow in a semifinal game. We got the World Cup coming up next year right here in North America. And that's not all, people. The Philadelphia Union surprising everybody. Top dogs in the East and one of the best teams in the MLS. And to talk a little bit more about all of that, it's our good friend Larry Henry Jr. joining us right now. Larry, how are we doing today, sir?
Yo, what's up, Sean? Good to be back with you, my friend. Yeah, everything's good, man. Just saw one of the latest summer storms go by. I was nervous, worried that my power was going to go out, but pushed through it. It's nice and calm now. So unfortunately, no Phillies tonight, but that just means more FIFA Club World Cup tonight, my friend.
Let's go. All right. I want to dive into the FIFA World Club Cup. Did I get it right there?
Yeah, FIFA Club World Cup.
Club World Cup, the best of the best. 2 weeks ago, I decided to do a show for Game 1 for the Mets and Phillies. We get down there, and it took me a little bit extra to get down there because Chelsea was playing at Lincoln Financial Field. I'm like, what is going on right now? It is amazing. I did see a pretty good game the other day. PSG absolutely embarrassed Miami, but the expectations weren't there for Miami to compete in that game. But it's pretty cool. Is this new? Is this whole tournament new? Have they been doing this over the years? Take me through that.
Yeah, so it's the same tournament, just with a different format. Normally, FIFA will host this tournament, usually somewhere in the Middle East, Saudi Arabia. I think Morocco has hosted it. And normally, the format used to be 8 clubs, the best of the best. The UEFA Champions League winner, the CONCACAF Champions League winner, the Asian Champions League winner. FIFA decided, with the World Cup coming to North America next summer, they decided to expand the format to 32 clubs. Take not only the Champions League winners from around the world, but also take some of the best teams that have finished in their respective standings. So you have Manchester City, you have PSG, you have Real Madrid, but then you also toss in the teams, like you said, Inter Miami, Seattle Sounders from MLS was in the tournament. LAFC was in the tournament. Now we're right now in the round of 16, getting ready for the quarterfinals to happen this weekend. And really, it's just given some teams that might not have had the opportunity to be in this tournament the chance to be there. And there's also a lot of prize money that goes with it. The winner of the tournament could receive up to $125 million just for participation, for their results, for winning the competition. I know Man City got knocked out last night. They're going to walk away with, I think it's $51 million from just advancing to the round of 16 and for participation, which unfortunately I wanted to see them win, but to get 50 million, I mean, that's pretty cool to have, in your back pocket. So it's really been cool to see. I know you mentioned the Chelsea match. I'm pretty sure I saw your tweet. I'm at the stadium. I shoot you a text. Hey, I see your broadcast is coming. You might get bombarded over there, Phillies Mets. But it's been awesome in Philly, man. It's close to 200. I think it's over 250,000 fans now have gone to 7 matches. And we still have one more match in Philly on 4th of July with Palmeiras and Chelsea facing off in the quarterfinals.
Palmeiras, did they
Brazil.
play?
Yeah,
they played Chelsea in that game.
Yeah, they're playing this Friday. This will be a rematch of the 2022 Club World Cup final, which Chelsea beat Palmeiras 2-1. And Palmeiras was at the link last weekend. It was an all Brazilian affair because they beat Botafogo, who they play pretty much.
Who? Joey?
Botafogo.
Okay.
But yeah,
Crazy.
no, it's been awesome, man.
Yeah, it has been. And look, we don't take those things lightly where you're bringing all those people from all across the globe into this city and they're spending money and they're out and they're rocking. Xfinity Live, I know they do very well for football games, and I know that Phillies games, homestands are rocking. But, man, like those bartenders, those wait staff, everybody, that place is on fire right now. Downtown, it's really cool stuff to see. And, of course, it's just getting us ready for next year, which is going to be even more electric when it comes to the World Cup. We'll talk a little bit more about that. I am looking forward to – quick question, though. If the Philadelphia Union were to win $125 million, say they got an opportunity to compete and win the Club World Cup, and they get a $125 million right in their back pockets, would they spend it on a good player? Would they go out there and get us a player that we actually know? Or are we going to still trust Ernst? What is your thoughts on that? Are the owners going to just pocket all that cash, 125? You can't win 125 million and not spend a decent sum on some players out there that we all know about.
No, I think you're right. I think you have to spend the money and get some players in the door. I mean, we know the Philadelphia Union, they love to invest in the academy. They've invested so much in the training facilities. I haven't been down there in a long time now, but I'm excited to go down there soon and hopefully see the training facilities. I heard it's like top notch now. Chelsea was training there for their group stage matches, so that was pretty cool to see. Yeah, I think you definitely would have to get some players. I think it was even reportedly Jonathan Tannenwald, my colleague over at the Inquirer, reported about Thomas Mueller being his representatives reaching out to the union about Mueller leaving Bayern Munich this summer at the end of the Club World Cup, and would the union be interested in getting him? I think it was like the union would pay maybe $4 to $5 million for a year, whereas Mueller wanted, I think, $10 million. If you get $125 million, there's no reason why you cannot sign 3 or 4, maybe 5 players, pending how good. And Ernst Tanner's good with it, I think, with spending the money in terms of finding diamonds in the rough. And at that point, you don't have to go for diamonds in the rough anymore, man. You can go out and get whoever you want.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, they deserve a lot of credit for being able to go through all the change that they did this past season and, of course, where they're at right now on top of the East. Let's go ahead and transition over to the Philadelphia Union. We're here with the great Larry Henry Jr. talking all things about the beautiful game of soccer. And as I said, I am a diehard soccer fan, love it, have not paid too much attention. I know you're going to get a Manchester United joke off, but that's fine. Some it's true. But all in all, the Philadelphia Union always will have a place in my heart, and I have been tuning in, watching those games, and it's been a very, very big surprise to me at how well they are playing this year. I can't believe that they have taken the baton, of course, from Jim Curtin onto Carroll, the new head coach, and where they're at right now. I'm blown away. How surprised are you at the success that the Union are having in year one with the new coach?
I'm definitely surprised for sure. I mean, Bradley Carnell has been around MLS. He coached St. Louis City helped them that first season of their expansion year. They did really good. They exceeded all expectations as an expansion team. And then the second year is where they kind of maybe were figured out a little bit. Carnell eventually got fired and is now with the Union. I've definitely been impressed with how disappointing the Union were last year. They are miles better this season. I think ultimately the biggest thing was making Subaru Park a fortress again, winning at home, not losing results at home. I mean, you've been down there so many times. I've been down there. A lot of our colleagues have had. Subaru Park, when it's packed and the place is rocking, I mean, it's one of the better atmospheres in MLS. So getting the fans back there, getting them behind the team, I think has been important. Defensively, they've gotten back to what was a strength under the kind of last few years under Jim Curtin. Their 20 goals conceded in MLS are the second fewest in the league. So that's obviously important. I know they suffered a loss on Sunday to Columbus. They were shorthanded. They've been missing people that are at the Gold Cup with Team USA. It was their first loss in over 2 months. So, I mean, I'm sure Bradley Cardell's not too disappointed with that. But overall, things are clicking. The offense is clicking. They have a lot of different guys that can score. Ty Baribo's having a great year. Quinn Sullivan's having a really positive year as well. That's why he's with the national team right now. Defensively, like I said, they've been really good. So hopefully they can keep it going, and hopefully this can be, the start of maybe a new regime under Carnell where we can get the Union back fighting for that number 1 spot for the next couple seasons, not just 1 year and then, you struggle back a bit.
Philadelphia Union plus 850 to win it all this year. And wouldn't that be just unbelievable if this is the year that they put it all together and get the job done? I was a huge Jim Curtin supporter. I didn't understand the removal. But all in all, I think the saying's been an Ernst we trust. And, he's got it going in the right direction right now with the new head coach, Bradley Carnell, who I mispronounced his name. That's great stuff by me there. But here we are. That's why we got Larry on the show to correct me. But plus 850 for the Philadelphia Union, San Diego FC 8-1, Vancouver 7-1, and Inter Miami 5-1. Take us through. Have they played Miami yet this year?
Yeah, I believe they played Miami earlier in the season.
Miami slam dunk. I understand why they're favored because we have to factor in the odds or the money coming in. It's Messi. It's that team that's loaded. But when they go up against a team like Inter Miami, let's say it's the playoffs, is this similar to, and I hate to bring another sport into it, but like how the Dodgers are right now? Is Miami that good with the embarrassment of riches that they have put together with all those players?
I think they're that good, but I also think similar to the Dodgers, right, where I think it was about a month ago, the Dodgers hit that spell where they lost a couple series. They were getting beat by some teams probably that they should have been beating up on. And I know MLB, MLS, 2 different seasons. MLB is a long season. Teams go through slides. We've seen it with the Philadelphia Phillies. I think Miami will be neck and neck with the Union. You have those world-class players like Messi, like Busquets, like Suarez, like Alba that can basically win you games. I know earlier this season, the Union had that 3-3 draw in May at home against Miami, where Messi scored just a sublime free kick, which is what he's known for and we've seen. And then they scored a stoppage time equalizer in the 95th minute. Yeah, so it was 3-3 that match. And then Miami also won 2-1 back in March. I'm not too sure if they play again this season, but I would think that these two would square off in the playoffs. And I think ultimately for the Union too, not only is MLS Cup on the table. I mean, right now they're in the quarterfinals of the U.S. Open Cup. I think ultimately for them, winning a trophy and just getting back to that winning ways like they did with the Supporters Shield and getting the MLS Cup in 2022. You want to win as many trophies as you can. They got the Red Bulls at home in the quarterfinals. They should be favored in that. And then after that, I think it's they would be the favorites to win that competition. So overall, good things from the Union. I expect them to continue it up as the season goes on, and they'll get their players back from the Gold Cup.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question. First, I want to give a plug to X's into You, of course, Adam Booth, Matty G, and Sebastian Letou, club legend. You can catch that podcast right here on The Gambler at foxphlgambler.com. Those guys have done a great job the last 2 seasons for us, recording weekly, and it's a great deal to have Sebastian, who is on the radio call as well, weekly here on The Gambler. And, of course, I play that throughout the course of the week here on air, but you can always get the podcast form at foxphlgambler.com. With that being said, yeah, they just played a tough Columbus game down to their 5th stringers. I had some people on my timeline saying, We know how it works in the world of soccer, but is this something that they will have to deal with throughout? Is there any other tournaments that are coming up later this season? They're going to take some good players off of the roster. Or is it just we're home free after that, after the Gold Cup, and you're going to get the best of the best that the Union are able to put on the field?
I think you're going to get the best from the Union for sure. Basically, MLS gave the clubs an opportunity to pick what competition that they wanted to feature in. The Union decided to go with the Open Cup rather than the Leagues Cup, which is that competition with MLS and Liga MX clubs from Mexico. So right now, I mean, once the Union get these guys back from the Gold Cup, from international duty, they'll be back at full strength. And ultimately, I mean, looking through the schedule, right, you have this weekend coming up, you have Nashville SC away. That's not going to be easy. Nashville is really good at home. Then you have back-to-back matches against the Red Bulls. You have the Open Cup match midweek, and then you have the Red Bulls at home that following weekend. And then you have some matches after that, which would favor the Union. You have CF Montreal, who have been atrocious this season. You have the Houston Dynamo away, and then you have the Colorado Rapids at home. And then you have an international friendly against Eintracht Frankfurt, which would probably – by then, I would imagine you would fully have everybody back and back fit. So, yeah, I think the Union for sure, keeping everyone healthy will be key. If they can do that, there's no reason why this team can't run the table and win MLS Cup.
Wow. That's crazy, man. Like, we'll take it. Listen to me. We'll take it. No, like at the end of the day, it's just an incredible vibe. And this team, this franchise, like we were always going to pull for it. But Jim was such a huge piece to that puzzle. And for them to move off of him, I just felt like, all right, like I'm willing to give anything an opportunity. Did not like it, did not agree with it, but sure as hell did not see this type of success. So I am blown away. But you got Baribo out there is doing well. And then, oh, by the way, the moves that they made, like Jack McGlynn. What are we doing right now? Jack McGlynn, we're getting rid of him. So these are some of the things, but it always comes back to Ernst. It does, Larry. Like this dude is so damn good at what he does.
Yeah, no, he is. He's one of the best directors, in MLS. He's found so many, like I said earlier, diamonds in the rough. Kai Wagner, getting him from a lower league in Germany for, cheap money, and then turning him into one of the best left backs, if not the best left back in MLS. Guys in the past, Leon Flock, some others as well. Damian Lowe getting him in, and then he goes off to Saudi Arabia. So yeah, Tanner's been awesome in the job. I'm actually shocked that he is still with the Union. I would imagine that there's been some interest from Germany, from the Bundesliga or the second Bundesliga for his services. Because, that's where he's come from and he's done so well in MLS. So I think right now, Union fans should be happy with what the team's doing. And like I said, you're going to get players back. You're going to get hopefully everyone playing, fit, free, injury-free soccer for the rest of the season.
Got to ask a Kevin Sullivan question because he is the chosen one. He's only 15 years old. Maybe people don't know about this story, but last year busted on the scene, had an opportunity to make his professional debut, and I believe broke the record, if I'm not mistaken, for youngest player to make a professional sporting debut for the Philadelphia Union last year at the age of 14 years old. Good grief. What is going on with Cavan? Is this all part of the process, all part of the plan? They don't need him. They're in first place. If they weren't in first place, would we see more playing time from him? Where are we at as far as the Cavan Sullivan story right now?
Yeah, it's tough right now, right? Because he's a promising talent. He's obviously the next big thing in American soccer. And with now, I believe he's 15. So with a 15-year-old, it's trying to keep his head on straight and focus on what's going on and all the bright lights around him. He's played against Leo Messi and other international stars, so it must be pretty special for him. Unfortunately, this team right now, there's just a lot of guys in midfield and a lot of attackers that they have that are playing well. And I think that's too, you don't want to put too much pressure on a Kevin Sullivan at his age. I think there's going to be opportunities for him to play maybe in the Open Cup next week. I know he came off the bench in that loss to Columbus, played 45 minutes off the bench. So I think as long as he's playing and playing regularly, whether it's with the first team, whether it's MLS Next Pro, I think that's important for his development. Obviously, we know the reports about him being linked with Manchester City and potentially going there when he turns 18. Obviously, City haven't commented on it. The Union haven't really commented on it as well. I know he was at the Man City match at the Link last 2 weeks ago in the Club World Cup. He was in the boxes watching potentially his future club. We even asked Pep Guardiola, tried to hint around the question, but wasn't allowed to say anything. So, but yeah, he's a promising talent for sure. I think he's going to be a special player. And whether that's, he gets that time with the Union or eventually when he does go to Man City, I imagine he's going to be loaned out and getting regular playing time elsewhere before he, gets an opportunity with the City first team. But it's cool to see. Obviously, we know Quinn and what he's done for the program, and it's really awesome to see Cabin as a young player, 15 years old. I mean, just imagine, what were you doing at 15, Sean? Well, we were getting ready for high school sports.
Had a girlfriend when I was 15. I remember that. That was all about girls in those days, man. That's what it was. Girls and football. Take me back. All right. So we got Larry Every Jr. right now joining us, talking all things about the beautiful game of soccer here. And yeah, look, the Philadelphia Union are on top. Plenty to discuss, but it's a long season. So let's transition and let's get on over to the boys in red, white, and blue. And let's talk about the U.S. men's national team with the Gold Cup. And it was a pretty good interview with Tyler Adams on Colin Cowherd before me. And he was honest. They asked him about how important is it to winning this Gold Cup? And he said, you know what, anytime it's a knockout game, there's so much you can take away from it. So, look, I think I got my answer because it is interesting. When you talk about the Gold Cup, I feel like there's nothing to gain. Yeah, when they win, it's cool, and they've done it before. But when they lose, it's a huge deal, right? You can't be losing that. But all in all, next year, we're going to be seeing a whole different roster. So it's just important for these guys to make their mark, play well, and for some players to separate themselves from the bunch to overall make the roster. That's how I see it. How do you see this Gold Cup right now? And, of course, this semifinal game against Guatemala tomorrow?
I think it's definitely important for sure. Like you said, this roster is going to look a whole lot different this time next year, and probably even in the fall when a lot of the European base players are back in, the Christian Pulisic's, the Weston McKinney's, the Tim Weah's, the Anthony Robinsons. But overall, I still think this is important for U.S. soccer because Mauricio Pochettino still has a lot of scouting to do with this roster in terms of who can be part of that World Cup roster. Tyler Adams, Chris Richards, Tim Ream, those three guys, I think right now that are on this current Gold Cup roster, you're definitely going to see them on the World Cup roster. I don't think there's any reason why not. They're important to the team. They're veterans of the team. Unless they're injured, I don't see why they're not there. The rest of the roster, I think, is still up for grabs in terms of all these other guys that are in the current squad. They have a big opportunity right now with some players missing due to rest, due to injury, due to summer break, due to Club World Cup activity. So right now, I think the Guatemala match is definitely, important right now for the program because after this tournament, it's basically friendlies here on out for the program. So this is the last competitive tournament for them, the last opportunity for them to bring home a trophy. I think it would be awesome to get a trophy under Pochettino before the World Cup starts. There was definitely pressure on him going into the Gold Cup after they lost to Turkey and Switzerland in a pair of home friendlies, and they were beaten pretty bad in both of them. And those are two teams that you could potentially see in the World Cup. So I think they've eased the pressure a little bit, but I don't think the pressure is fully off yet because they play a Guatemala side on Wednesday night who, they haven't faced in 9 years. That was actually the last time they had lost to Guatemala. Guatemala is coming off an upset win over Canada, and they definitely have, playing with house money right now, where you look at the USA, they're favored to win this, and they should be favored to win this by at least 2 goals.
Yeah, that's the issue. And it's like, it's tough. It's soccer. So I'm not going to get caught up in the fact that they had to go 2 penalties against Costa Rica. But again, it was a tough game, and they had it. They were up 2-1. And then all of a sudden you had 9 guys in the box just standing around looking at each other. And of course, Costa Rica even the score. Pretty good game there, and final ending as well. Diego Luna. Is he the star of the show right now for the U.S. men's team? Where are we at? Like, who's shining the most for you?
Yeah, I think Diego Luna is definitely one of those guys. I think the player of the tournament for the U.S. has to be Malik Tillman, the midfielder with PSV, who is reportedly set to join Bayer Leverkusen in the Bundesliga in a deal worth 40 million euros. So He's having a really great tournament, and I think that's important for him because this was a player that I had kind of singled out and hoped, he had, I think it was 15 maybe caps before that, hadn't scored, hadn't assisted. He's had a couple goals now. He's worked hard. He's won fouls, delivered some big time assists. I think Tillman's been really good. He's been the player of the tournament for the Team USA. Diego Luna is definitely up there as well. Max Arfston has done a lot of good things on the offensive side of the field. Patrick Ajiman is fighting for that number 9 striker role with a lot of guys out. There's a bunch of strikers that could have been in this camp that just couldn't be because they've been hurt. Valerian Balogun, Josh Sargent, Haji Wright, Ricardo Pepi. So right now, like you said, Diego Luna's been really well. I think Matt Freese has done exceptionally well as too. Former Philadelphia Union guy, 3 saves in the shootout against Costa Rica. That number 1 goalkeeping position is still up for grabs, and I think Freese has done pretty well. So like I said, those guys, Tillman, Luna, Arfston, Ajiman, even Matt Freese, I think those guys have definitely carried the torch, and Chris Richards as well. I mean, him and Tyler Adams are the 2 veterans of the bunch. We know what they're expecting to do. The other guys, they were the ones that were asked to step up, and I think they have, and we're going to need more of that against Guatemala and potentially against Mexico in the final.
Yeah, Freeze, I think they did something stupid on Fox, one of those talking shows, and they were like, the man of the weekend, and it was Matt Freese. Like, look at that. All right, giving a shout out to Matt Freese. As far as you kind of were hitting on it a little bit, because a big talking point about the U.S. men's national team going into the last World Cup, and of course this upcoming World Cup and matches in between, the striker, that's position at the top, so important. Of course, new coach. So are we still looking at it in the same manner? A, and then B, is there somebody right now, like I was a huge Pepe guy. Obviously, he didn't grab the baton and run with it. It was his opportunity to do so. Josh Sargent had an opportunity to do it as well. Is there somebody else that's out there that we're not looking at? Somebody that's new? Is there somebody that's separating themselves from the pack in your mind for next year's World Cup? Where are we at the striker position, the all-important man at the top?
It's tough to say right now just because there's so many guys that are missing. Like you said, Pepe had an injury at the second half of the season with PSV, which kind of ruled him out. Haji Wright was in camp and then had to leave with an Achilles issue, which hopefully that's not serious because serious Achilles injuries could be a year out. Josh Sargent hasn't scored a U.S. goal in 5 years. We know what he's done with Norwich City, but he hasn't done that with the national team. And right now, he wasn't injured. He was just a decision made by Pochettino not to bring him in, just a choice. So, and I think that's deservedly so. He hasn't proven anything. And the other guys, Valerian Balogun had an injury as well, so it ruled him out. I think Balogun eventually is going to be the guy that will get the opportunity. I think he's the most talented of the bunch, and I think Pepe will be right behind him because as a backup for PSV, he still scored 17 goals in all competitions, which has led to interest growing in his services elsewhere. So I think those 2 guys will be in there. I think Ajiman's done pretty well. He's a physical beast of a striker. He just wins duels, wins battles, draws fouls. Maybe doesn't score the prettiest goals, but he's a poacher. He's around the box and he'll score. So I think he's definitely boosted his stock. So I think it'll be those 3 guys right now. Maybe Sargent can get back in the mix. Maybe Haji Wright can get healthy and get back in the mix as well. But overall, I think it'll be those 3 guys I said, Balogun, Pepe, and maybe Patrick Ajiman as we head into the September window.
All right. Tomorrow night, it is USA and Guatemala at 7 p.m. USA minus 360. You got Guatemala plus 950 in the draw, plus 475. On the other side, you got Mexico and Honduras. That goes off at 10 p.m. Mexico, a big-time favorite at minus 310. It'd be great to see USA versus Mexico. Obviously, get the juices going, 2 of the best. Kind of want to see Canada in there just because we wanted to see, some really good competition. But no one's looking past anybody with Team USA soccer, that's for sure. All right, Larry, great stuff there. Let's go ahead and hit the ice for a second. Let's talk about what the Flyers just did. A lot of hype going on with the Flyers right now. Big trade. You got a big draft party taking place down there in Atlantic City. A lot of people loving what they're doing these days. Are they putting it together? And are we talking about a team that will be back in the playoffs next year?
Oh, that's tough to say. I still think that they've done a really good job of kind of piecing the roster together. I think getting Trevor Zegras from Anaheim for basically nothing was a really good deal. The only thing with Zegras is he hasn't played a full season in 5 NHL seasons. He's been injured parts of it. But when he's out there, he can score goals. He did so for a really bad Anaheim Mighty Ducks squad. I think getting him in Philly now with the guys like Michkov and Konechny and Couturier, I think that's going to be important for him. If he can stay healthy, then that could be the difference of them making the playoffs or not. In the draft, they were able to get a lot of good talent. For sure. I definitely like the first round picks. Getting Porter Martone, the 18-year-old, the forward. I don't think he's going to be up anytime soon, but that's one for the future. And then recently they've started getting some lower end deals for some players. Christian Dvorak from Montreal, who I think could be a good depth piece for them. He's worked with Rick Tocchet before. So I think, getting some guys familiar to Tocchett's style of play is important. I still think the big question mark remains, and we always talk about this, is the goaltending. Can they get consistent goaltending? Ever since Carter Hart has left, that goaltending hasn't been as consistent. Whether it's Samuel Ersson, whether it's Ivan Fedidov, whether it's Alexei Kolosev, they need to get a guy and hopefully ride that number one train, into the season. They've shuffled around too many times, and I just think that doesn't lead to a consistent team. So I think if they can get the goaltending figured out in camp, whether it's Ersson, whether it's Fedidov, and then overall too, get the special teams units back to being in the top 10 like they were several seasons ago, I think that's going to be important for them in a really tough Metro division.
Man, if only they could find a goalie like that guy from Florida, Bobrovsky, man. He's awesome. I mean, it would be great if they could get a goalie like that someday.
Yeah.
I can't. Obviously, he was here. You're going to hell. He wasn't the same goalie here. At the end of the day, though, he was pretty damn good. I don't know. It's just it's the world we live in when it comes to hockey players. But he's having a lot of success. He's a Hall of Fame goalie, in fact. A lot of fun there. All right, Larry, great job, man. You caught us up with everything as far as soccer is concerned. Truly speaking here, selfishly, I was looking forward to this hit because of we're going to go around the world. Haven't talked soccer in quite some time, but Philadelphia Union front and center. Of course, red, white, and blue with everything that's happening, Gold Cup and the World Cup next year. And, of course, all this club championship that's going on right now. A lot of people are catching the attention there. We didn't talk about who's going to win it. Who do you got winning that tournament?
Oh, it's tough. I think PSG is going to win it. PSG routed Miami. I know they had a hiccup in the group stage against Botafogo, but overall, I think it's going to be them. They have a tough one, though. They got to play Bayern Munich next. I think whoever wins that match is going to eventually win the competition. But PSG being the reigning Champions League winners, I don't see any reason why they can't win it. But who knows? There's been a lot of surprises. Man City coughed it up in extra time against Al Hilal. Inter Milan lost to Fluminense. Real Madrid's on right now. So a lot can happen. Knockout tournaments, man. Anything can happen, and could be some money to be made there as well.
I'm mad. I wanted to make that Real Madrid game, but it was 9:00 at night and it was raining. And I'm just like, nah, can't swing that with the new baby. But that crowd looked electric. Was that the best crowd? What's been the best crowd down at the link, in your opinion?
Yeah, that was definitely the Real Madrid match was over 60,000. That was, more than double, I think, pretty much triple even some of the earlier matches. But yeah, Real Madrid was awesome being able to be, in the locker room with these guys, Trent Alexander-Arnold, Vinicius Jr., seeing these world-class players, Jude Bellingham, and just seeing the support. I think you touched on it earlier with the fans. Right now for a lot of international fans, I wouldn't put the U.S. as a destination spot right now with everything going on in the world and everything. But these fans have made the trip. Early in the competition, we had fans from Morocco, fans from Tunisia, fans from Brazil. We've had Man City fans. We've had Chelsea fans. It's been really cool to see. I think everything's been pretty safe down at the link. They've done a really good job with security and everything, which is awesome because I think it's just going to get risen up to the next level next summer with the World Cup. But overall, Real Madrid was awesome, and it'd be cool to get them back here again. Unfortunately, that's not going to happen this summer.
Well said, Larry. Great job across the board, man. Can't thank you enough for stopping by again today. We'll catch up. Of course, we got a long summer in front of us with the Philadelphia Union. A lot to discuss there. You can find Larry at lhenry019 on socials. Does a bang-up job for a lot of outlets out there, including The Athletic and SBI Soccer, and then some. So be sure to give him a follow if you don't already at lhenry019. Larry, you're the best. Enjoy these games. We'll catch up later this summer and talk some more Philadelphia Union. Hopefully a U.S. men's national team Gold Cup victory. How about that?
Yeah, man, hopefully. Thanks a lot, Sean. And I got to leave you with this. One club that wasn't at the Club World Cup, Manchester United. Too busy playing hopscotch over there in England.
Can't help yourself.
Get
out of here. He's gone. I'm running him. Get out of here. No, I love Larry. Look, he always gives me the jab, and that's good stuff there. Look, I'm a fair weather fan at the end of the day. The United stuff has been killing me. Can't even tune in to watch them play. I can't. It's brutal. New season, we'll see what happens. But, man, it's been frustrating. Of course, new coach coming in. It's like, man, what is going on right now? But he is right about that. He's also right about the fact that the USA is dealing with a lot right now. And we know where we're at when we get into that discussion. And it's very unfortunate, but it's ugly. It is so ugly, the stuff that is taking place right now. And to the point that I can't even listen to me like, oh, I'm on my pedestal here. I can't even look at the timeline. Like, I've tried as much as possible not to be on social media because the stuff that you are seeing is just straight up disgraceful. And I have no idea how we've gotten here. We're building these camps now in the middle of the Everglades, and we're rolling around on Fox News like it's a episode of House Hunters. Like, what is going on right now? Ripping people from their families. Like, man, I get it. People coming in here across the border that weren't here legally, understood. But there's just, you've heard 1,000,001 people say it, including Joe Rogan, that there's got to be a better way. And it's just sad. It really is sad where we're at right now. And if you're enjoying it, then knock yourself out. Good. I'm glad you are. But me, nope, not happy with anything that's happening. And it's disgraceful. And you have to wonder whether or not it's going to have a carryover effect into 2026, which was supposed to be this huge year for us. And then, underlying, who the hell knows what we're going to be dealing with in 2026, right? I honestly, we don't even know what we're going to deal with next week, tomorrow. Every day it's something new. It's very unfortunate to where we're at right now. And I don't know, man. Even his biggest supporters, even this administration's biggest supporters are really wondering what the hell is going on. So you tell me. But bottom line is it's ugly. And we were talking to some people from Brazil, and it was very eye-opening, the fact that they were here on that Friday when we were down at Xfinity Live. I had a conversation with two dudes speaking broken English. And I'm just like, I'm glad to see you guys here. And the one dude made a joke. And I was just like, man, that sucks. That's sad. That's sad to hear him have to worry about being here legally. But none of that matters, right? None of that matters. So anyways, moving off of that, do have some other stuff that is happening in the serious world that we live in. There has been a verdict reached in the Puff Daddy trial, a partial verdict, excuse me. So that's news that will be on your timeline now and moving forward. I think the big one, they have not found a verdict or not come to an agreement on a verdict there. So I don't think that works in Diddy's favor. If you paid attention to the trial at all, which is the longest trial I can remember. This thing has been going on forever. It does not look good for Diddy, but who knows? Maybe he can swing some money to the right people at the higher ups and then get himself bailed out, get a pardon, because that seems to be the thing to do these days as well. So wouldn't surprise me, wouldn't shock me, but we'll see how that one plays out there with Diddy. And then last but not least, this one came across my timeline yesterday, not my timeline, iHeartRadio does a great job sending out emails, keeping you up to date with all the news that's happening around the world. And, I signed up for all of them, obviously working for iHeart. The Idaho murder, which, if you remember going back a couple years ago, that dude ran in and murdered all those college girls. And I think there was 4 people murdered. The authorities out there in Idaho came to an agreement. And it's crazy that they came to an agreement where they would remove the death penalty if he pled guilty. This dude, Brian Koberger, who I believe had Pennsylvania ties, didn't he? Not that we should be saying that. Did he get popped in PA? I forget what happened there. Anyways, Brian Koberger will serve consecutive death penalties, 4 straight, a matter of fact, and will never see the light of day ever again. But the death penalty has been removed. Now, here's the crazy part. He had one set of family, or you had one side of the family that was one of the murder victims, that they were happy that they were able to say that they express relief, noting that the plea allows them to avoid a trial and focus on healing. Yet the other victims were now throwing around things that this is shocking and cruel, and they are criticizing officials for the lack of input from victims' families. Steve Conclays, who lost his daughter, Kaylee, quote, "This is anything but justice," close quote. And he expressed frustration over the secretive nature of the deal. Now, this happened in 2022/2023, because I think he was arrested in 23 of January. But that's, like, I'm not saying that that's easy, but how the hell do you go against, like, I understand it. You don't want a trial. You don't want the thing to draw out, but he was 100% going to get convicted of the crimes that he committed. They had somebody that saw him there. Of course, there were some other things that we were privy to as far as the details that they were being discussed. I remember the connection of his clothes, driving. There were so many things that were connecting him to the spot. And for them to say, you know what, we're going to give him a plea deal, and specifically not keeping the family members involved, I don't agree with that. When I saw it yesterday, my jaw was on the floor. I said it to my wife. I said, how the hell do you give him a plea deal? Come on, man. Don't do that. And I'm not even, a victim in this murder. Like, imagine if your daughter or your son was murdered, and all of a sudden they're like, yeah, we're going to take the death penalty off. We're going to put him in prison. No way. Sorry. But again, on the flip side of that, you do have other victims' families saying, you know what, we accept it, and we are ready to focus on healing. So, like, man, if you're a prosecutor, somebody has to make that decision. That is tough. That is tough business. But it's very sad that dude is going to continue to live, and of course, in a prison. Why don't we put him in alligator Alcatraz? Why don't we do that? You know what? Put him down there and make him walk to it. This criminal. Maybe he'll try and get a pardon some way, somehow, too. It's the Daily Ticket. Having some fun, as we often do here. NBA free agency. Let me get you the baseball organ. There you go. All right. Enough of this serious stuff. 5 o'clock hour coming up. It's NBA free agency. Sat down with Sam Oshtry earlier today. Great conversation on all things NBA free agency. And, I opened up today's show with a little bit of frustration. And, I understand where we're at when it comes to the 76ers. But the Atlanta Hawks have a fresh new approach. They were building something up of last year. They go out there and sign him and make some moves these past few days / week. Porzingis coming to town. Of course, the Dallas Mavericks, everything that they have done. The Orlando Magic look pretty good. The Cavs have put it together, and the Knicks are good. Yet the 76ers are going to roll out Joel Embiid and Paul George yet again, and it all comes down to what? A hope and a prayer to the big man above that these guys remain healthy, or else this team will not compete for anything other than a trip to the playoffs and one and done. And that sucks, but that's the reality where we're at. Or is it? Sam does push back on me on that. I'm going to play that for you on the other side. He actually says there's some newness with this team, and he makes the case in the 5 o'clock hour. Once again, don't go anywhere. And if you missed anything, at foxphlgambler.com.
It's the Daily Ticket with Sean Brace, 3 to 6 p.m. Monday to Friday.
Bryce Harper is back in the Phillies lineup, and there's no better time than right now. Harper, he's been out since June 5th, and the Titans were just 12-10 in that stretch. Now, you didn't need to be a baseball aficionado to see the offense lacked firepower. Just look at the recent road trip. Brilliant pitching performances wasted, including Ranger Suarez tossing 16 scoreless innings without a single run of support. Brutal. Harper's return pushes everyone back into their proper spots, locks down the first base on defense, and brings the swagger of a showman ready to deliver that clutch home run that we can count on time and time again. It's great to have Bryce back in the lineup.
If you can wager on it, we're talking about it right here on The Gambler.
My station, baby.
Fox Sports Radio, The Gambler. Now, total traffic for Philadelphia.